So the Chinese Grand Prix for the 2026 season is done and dusted in Shanghai. What a weekend of exhilarating action that we saw earlier this morning, or let me say from Friday, because it was action packed. I don't even know where to start from. Quite a number of things I want to unpack. I have a pen with me here. I have some things that I've jotted down. I want to talk about this weekend. Should we start from the sprint qualies or what we saw this morning? I think we should start from the race itself earlier this morning. It's no longer news that Kimi Antonelli, the 19-year-old one who drives for Mercedes, got his first ever Grand Prix win. He was a rookie last season, oh, but this time around, he is a race winner. And, he set that record for himself as the second youngest ever driver to ever win a Grand Prix race after what Max Verstappen did in 2016 in Barcelona in Spain. Congratulations to Kimi Antonelli. And, this weekend was quite interesting for him from what he did at the sprint to qualifying on pole position. Meanwhile, for that pole position, he became the youngest ever pole sitter since what Sebastian Vettel did when he was 21 years. Kimi is 19 years old. He's the youngest ever pole sitter, meaning he's the youngest to ever lead the grid out or start a race for a Grand Prix. Kimi had a very, very fantastic weekend. Remember, for those who followed it on Saturday, he had a 10 seconds penalty. Yes, at the sprint, after a collision with Isaac Hajar, he wasn't able to finish up there. So due to that 10 seconds penalty he got in the sprint race, he wasn't able to finish in podium places, but finished at the fifth position, but still gave it a good run. That's one thing. There are two things in Formula One: you having a good car, and you also having to extract the best performance out of the car. And I think that's what Mercedes are doing this season. I think it's one of the things you have to look out for Mercedes, and you just have to appreciate the work they've been able to bring into this. In all of this Kimi Antonelli news, the person I'm super excited for is Toto Wolff. That's their team principal. He knew what he saw when he asked Kimi Antonelli to replace Lewis Hamilton ever since Lewis Hamilton moved to Ferrari last season. And you can say that Toto is reaping all of the benefits of bringing him. He had to skip F3, got him into F2. Didn't really spend a lot of time in F2, and look at what he's doing right now at 19 years old. Congratulations to him. So it was a whole lot of noise and jubilation for him, his family, his father, everyone were at the Chinese Grand Prix to celebrate him. And I'm super excited for what he's been able to do so far and accomplish at 19 years old. And I'm very sure this is not going to be his first and last win in Formula One this season. You should expect more from that man. Talking about Kimi Antonelli, he also also set a record also as the first Italian in 20 years to win an F1 race. That's incredible. Lifting the flag up there, I saw him with the Italian flag running around the paddock. It's super bliss for the man Kimi Antonelli. Kudos to him for that one. Also, George Russell also had a very, very decent weekend, and you just have to appreciate Mercedes. Now, something happened during the weekend before the race this morning. George Russell had a bit of a scare in Q3. That's in the third round of qualifying. And they were able to still patch up that car for him to make it down because he stopped on the racetrack, and he was able to still drive the car into the pits and get that car out. He was able to still finish at top. That's why he was second to Kimi Antonelli for qualifying. So you just have to appreciate the work that Mercedes has been able to put into that car to be able to have the best cars right now for pace and everything, active aero, power unit, everything is working for Mercedes, and you have to appreciate them. It's been a while that we've seen Mercedes up there ever since the season of Lewis Hamilton. But right now, I think it's their time. For any team to beat the Mercedes this season, they will have to work their socks off to be able to get to their level. Ferrari are the closest that can do that, and they've not still been able to crack that code. Something absolutely happened after the sprint race, which Lewis Hamilton did. I'm going to highlight that. But let's get to the race itself. George Russell was second for the race, and finally, Lewis Hamilton has a podium finish. I'm very sure all of the Lewis Hamilton fans out there are jubilating and excited about how that's, ensued. And I'm very sure this is not going to be the last time we're going to be seeing him on podium for Ferrari. This is the first podium for Ferrari in a race. Remember, he got to the sprint race last season, so it's not his first win, race win basically. He won the sprint race, but you could say that sprint it was just a sprint race. But getting on podium finish, the last time he was on podium finish was in Spa, that's in Belgium, 2024, when he came second behind his then teammate George Russell. That's at the Belgian Grand Prix right there. So congratulations to Lewis Hamilton clinching third behind two people who could say they are his boys in Formula One. Talking about George Russell, remember they were teammates before, and Kimi Antonelli, who replaced him right there at Mercedes. So the top three right there. Let's go through the top 10 and also the rest of the drivers that finished the race. In fourth position came Charles Leclerc for Ferrari. Olivier Biermann, absolutely brilliant race this past weekend, finished in fifth for the Haas team. Alpine came in at sixth for Pierre Gasly. Liam Lawson for Racing Bulls was seventh. Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull, eighth position. Carlos Sainz in the Williams came in at ninth, and Franco Colapinto for Alpine finished at 10, meaning it was a double point for the Alpine team. Congratulations to them. It looked as if they were not going to get anything out of this season, but look at them finishing the top 10 in just the second race of the season. So congratulations to the Alpine team. Let's continue and see the rest of the drivers. Nico Hülkenberg finished 11th, Arvid Lindblad in 12th, Valtteri Bottas for Cadillac in 13th position, Esteban Ocon in 14th, and Sergio Perez in 15th position. So those were, we had 15 drivers who were able to complete the race, and we had quite a number of DNFs and DNS, those that didn't start the race and those that didn't finish. Let's get straight to those that did not finish the race. There were three in number. Max Verstappen couldn't finish the race and had a bit of issue with the car there. Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin, the same problem, and also his Lance Stroll, his teammates in the Aston Martin, they've still not been able to get the problem of the vibration of the Honda engine out of their system. So those that didn't start the race at all, both McLaren drivers, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, they were not able to just get the car out of the pit for the formation lap. Talk of starting the race itself. Gabriel Bortoleto also wasn't able to start the race for the Audi team, and Alexander Albon wasn't able to get the car out of the pit in that one. So that's it for the race itself. Here are the standings so far after two races. George Russell is first with 51 points. Kimi Antonelli second, 47 points for both drivers. Mercedes, the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc and Hamilton comes in, 34 points for Charles Leclerc, 33 for Lewis Hamilton, follow closely there. Oliver Behrman in the Haas with 17 points at fifth. Lando Norris sixth with 15 points. Pierre Gasly seventh, 9 points. Max Verstappen eighth with 8 points. And Liam Lawson in ninth with 8 points. And also Arvid Lindblad, rookie of the season, with 4 points after the Chinese Grand Prix right there. I just have to have pity for one particular driver, and who am I talking about? Oscar Piastri. Oscar has not been able to start a single race so far this season. This is the Chinese Grand Prix, and that's the dynamics about Formula One. At one point, you are dominating. At a split second, you just find yourself not able to move your car or not able to get the pace out of your car. That's quite funny. At this stage last season, it was all guns blazing for the McLaren teams, but look at them today. The regulations, they've not been able to get the best out of their cars, even to finish in podium places. It's a big problem for them. Oscar Piastri is one man I felt had the season under his arms last season, but what happened just had to happen right there, and he also has to take the blame for quite a number of things that happened last season. But look at him this season. He's not still been able to start a single race. The first race of the season in Melbourne, he crashed the car into the barriers just as he was about to set the car on the grid. This time again, he was not able to get the car out of the pits. So it's a big problem for Oscar Piastri. I don't know how he wants to get back because the gap is getting wider. It's just two races, yes, of course, but it needs to catch up every necessary point he wants to. And will he be able to do that? With the pace the Mercedes side have been able to set so far, the standard is getting really, really high, and the bar has been set by the Mercedes drivers to be able to stop them, I'm saying it again, you just have to take something extra to be able to get to them. How about the constructors' team? Let's get to it. We have Mercedes with 98 points. That's the accumulation of both drivers, the points they've been able to accumulate so far. Ferrari are second with 67 points. McLaren are third with 18. Haas with 17 points in fourth. Red Bull Racing 12 points with them at the fifth position. Racing Bulls in sixth with 12. Alpine in seventh with 10 points. Audi eighth with 2 points. Williams are ninth with 2 points. And we have Cadillac and Aston Martin finishing bottom with no points yet. So here's my take on some things I saw or noticed this past weekend, from the sprint down to the race itself. I think the Mercedes cars are here to stay. I don't think any team is coming near them for now, that we still have the rules and regulations or everything still guiding the sport until we get to see a review or anything from the FIA anytime soon. I think right now, the Mercedes team are the team to beat. Nobody has been able to get the pace of that team so far. And the likes of Kimi Antonelli and George Russell would still dominate the grid, dominate from venue to venue or circuit to circuit, as we see, except any form of glitch or mistake from the drivers or from the teams themselves. That's the only thing that can bring any other team to challenge them at the top. The only team I feel are serious a bit to challenge them is the Ferrari, and the Ferrari still don't have that pace to match the Mercedes cars. From the qualies this past weekend, you could see that even Hamilton was struggling to get into purple sectors, but Kimi Antonelli was brilliant enough to beat the pace, get the lap times in time, and he was able to finish in pole. That was how he was able to execute that one perfectly. But Ferrari still not able to match the Mercedes guy. So it will take a bit of a mistake or a glitch from any of the drivers for any of the Ferrari or other teams to get into that top three to do something big for themselves. But I feel Ferrari still has what it takes if they get their strategies right, if they get their drivers, all guns blazing, or if they can get, a bit of upgrade that can match or, get to the level of the Mercedes side so far. That's what I feel might happen this season. But as long as the regulations still stand and there's no tweak or any, I think it's yet to stay that Mercedes might just take up things at the season. Yes, quite early, but these are little brilliances and little things that we are noticing that might just eventually happen at the end of the season. Because even at the race itself, you could see that George Russell was at some point 20 seconds above every other driver. Even his teammate was giving him a 9-second gap. And every second counts in Formula One. So that's one thing I just felt, that the pace of the Mercedes team is still unmatchable by every other team. And they will need to take something extra. It will need something extra for them to get to that level. I think my highlight of the weekend has to be Lewis Hamilton checking out one of the cars of this former team, talking about George Russell's car, and checking out every bit of it, bending down to see what are these guys doing. I feel it was just hilarious, and it was just iconic of him just being in that position, because you will not really expect anything from him in that manner. He's someone that just is serious about the race, gets done with that, and he's moved on from that. But it took time. Checked out the car. He was bending down, checking out every single part of it. What are these people doing that we've not been able to get started? I think that was quite iconic and interesting to see. And when you saw the podium itself, from Lewis Hamilton clinching P3 to George Russell at P2, and also Kimi Antonelli, and they also had Bono, who is Lewis Hamilton's former race engineer while he was at Mercedes. It just gave a feel of Mercedes all true. And I saw a clip of Toto Wolff, that's their team principal, coming out to say they had 3 drivers on the grid. Meanwhile, it was meant to be 2, meaning that he still counts Lewis Hamilton as his driver. And he said it's still our driver. Anyway, so congratulations to the Mercedes team. I'm itching to hear from you. What do you think about the race itself? About the other teams, Cadillac, I don't think they are ready yet. It's still the same problems. Aston Martin have not been able to get the vibrations out of their Honda power units. The the likes of Alpine, they were brilliant this time around. Or should we say because of the absence of the regulars, the likes of the McLarens, Max Verstappen wasn't able to finish the race. Maybe that's why we were able to see some midfield teams in the top 10. The Racing Bulls of Liam Lawson, it was brilliant all through this weekend. You just have to give it to him. Quite sad for Arvid Lindblad, who wasn't able to get into the top 10 after clinching points in Melbourne. So that's just few of the things that I could notice. And there was a part of the race that people are, trying to argue against themselves, which is the moment when Charles Leclerc was chasing Lewis Hamilton for P3. I'm like, leave them out, let them race themselves, because I just felt it was the best way to race themselves out, because no matter what they were going to do, they were not able to match the pace of the Mercedes team out there. So it's giving us pointers that the season is going to be an interesting one. Meanwhile, there was an announcement last night that two races are not going to be holding in April, talking about the Bahrain Grand Prix and also the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. That's in Sakir and Jeddah. Of course, we know what is happening in the Middle East and the crisis rocking everything. So the Formula One body, the FIA, and everyone had to come out and say that those races are not going to be holding in April, and there's not going to be substitutes. I've been seeing comments of people saying that it should happen in Portimao, that's in Portugal. Some say they should bring Imola back in Italy, but the FIA said there's no going to be a substitution of both races. So those races in April will be taken out. Meanwhile, will be that meaning they will be having a very, very huge gap of not seeing race action right there. So that's basically all what I've been able to unpack from the weekend. It's been exciting so far. There's going to be a break this coming week, and we're going to be seeing more racing, or we're going to be going racing again in a fortnight in Suzuka. That's in the Japanese Grand Prix. That's when we're going to be seeing. It's a tricky track, and you just have to keep your fingers crossed for that particular one. I can't wait to get to racing again, and I can't wait to have race week back into our lives. So let me know about what you think about the Chinese Grand Prix. Did you see the sprints? Did you see the qualies? Did you see the race itself earlier this morning? Let me know about it. Do you think anybody can topple Mercedes at this point in time? Do Ferrari have what it takes to get into or get in between the two drivers, because it's been a 1-2 finish so far? If it's not George Russell taking pole, it is Kimi Antonelli getting pole for himself and winning races this time around. So do the Ferrari have what it takes to get in between both drivers or even topple them this season so far? Are upgrades going to be enough for Ferrari to get beyond the Mercedes car? Let me know what you think about all of this. What was your best moment of the race? I mentioned mine, and I can't wait to hear from you. So see you in a fortnight for the preview of the Suzuka race in Japan.